Welcome to the October 10th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Concord Historical Commission. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to present and ask questions and provide public comments on topics and discussions following presentations and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. I will call on each commissioner for comments on the topic and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to vote on the applicant and applications. At this time, I would ask for a roll call to make sure we have a quorum from the commission members. Members of the commission, would you please identify yourself? Let's start with Melissa Sailfield.
Melissa Sailfield, present.
Alan Bogosian, present. Michael
Capizzi, present.
Nancy Frisella-Lee. You're on mute.
You're muted.
Nancy Frisella-Lee, present.
Lauren
Meyer, present.
Nancy Nelson.
I think she may be recusing herself.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And
Okay.
we have a quorum. So we have quite a bit of things to accomplish tonight. So the meeting is officially called to order. We have a couple of Section 106 reviews. The first one, Minuteman National Historical Park, the wayfinding signage program. Anne, who's gonna present that?
Let's see. Margie Coffin Brown from the National Park Service is here.
Oh, there she is. Margie?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi.
Would you like an overview of the project?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the park is actively updating all of its signage park-wide, and our strategy has been that we had to divide the update into those that we could accomplish before April 2025 and a wider replacement, which we hope to accomplish shortly thereafter. So what we submitted recently is a draft proposal from a sign contractor for all of the signs that we hope to replace after April 19th. It was our first comprehensive submittal from the sign contractor. We made observations that they had implemented highway-sized signs throughout the park, and we prepared comments indicating that they needed to reduce those signs to match their current size, and that we would like another complete draft before we submitted it to the town of Concord. However, the way their contract is written, if we request another revision, there would have to be a modification to the contract. So what we would like to do is have the town of Concord review the submittal that we conveyed, and we would align our comments with the town of Concord, submit those to the contractor, and then basically confirm that the contractor has revised the signs to an appropriate appearance that both the park and the town would be comfortable with.
Okay, I mean, I've looked at these signs myself, and my initial comments are, boy, these signs are huge. Uh, the- they're very, very big and kind of obnoxious, actually.
And I'm very sorry about that. The way the bidding process works, we don't have a lot of control over who does the work, and it's been a struggle every step of the way. So I really apologize. We did not want to send you what we sent you, but we kind of, I guess, had to, and so certainly many apologies from the park for what we sent you.
Let's open it up for discussion. Melissa, you look like you.
Well, so I'm a little puzzled. They are
Yeah.
very big and there sure are a lot of them. I try, was this an effort to replace those that we had before? Or, would be one thought, or had there been enough feedback from the public that there needed to be more signage, so there are that many more? I mean, the look of them is the design, it looks fine. It's just there are a lot of them and they're big. And so you sent us this, but this is not really what the park likes either. Is that that's what you're saying, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So, and then I sent everything to you. And so you're getting a look at, all the signs that are along the roadways as well as along the trails in all three towns. Uh, so I think part of the review is to parse out the signs that are in the town center, along Monument Street and Liberty Street, um, Lexington Road, and make sure that we all concur that those are resized.
Yes. Well,
There are signs on town property as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And
Yeah.
those are replacing existing signs. I
Mhm.
don't believe we added any signs. The one that might appear to be an addition, and maybe it's not even in the sign plan, is there used to be, excuse me, a sign um, on Monument Square, kind of in front of the Colonial Inn, and it pointed down Monument Street and said North Bridge. It was there about 8 years ago, but it's gone now.
are you replacing that one?
I think that's up for discussion. I don't know
Because
how
that
many
also,
will get lost.
I would just say that also would require the HDC, or maybe you've submitted this all to the HDC.
Well, we presented it to the town, and I guess our hope is that collectively we can agree to the appropriate size and content. And then once we get a revised draft that is more appropriate, then we would make sure that it goes through all of the reviews. But I wouldn't even want the highway department or engineering to review this current package, because there's no way these signs would go in the way that they're currently designed. So,
So-
so I think the question is, how do we gather the town's input on the signs um, in a way that gets us to the next step?
Is that what, I guess what I would ask is, what do you want from the historical commission?
Uh, well, Anne is there, and I guess, Anne, can I defer that to you? Just, it's sort of a procedural question. The park would like to get the town's input.
Mhm.
Would it be best to start with this group?
Lauren?
Hi, Margie, it's Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
How are you?
Great. except for
Good.
signs.
Yeah.
but-
Can I ask, I have two questions kind of following up on Melissa, and that is just to confirm, are these all replacements or are there some new signs?
All of the new signs are not on the roads.
Okay,
There, there are many new signs along the trails and at the parking lots,
yeah,
uh, but not on the roads.
okay. And then I guess the next question is, would it make sense, this is also for Anne and the rest of the commission, if the park has already reviewed this and you know where your areas of concern are, would it make sense for you to share those with us? And then we could kind of look at the packet and perhaps not duplicate efforts, but then, you know, kind of respond back to say, yes, we agree. Or because I think it's a big project to review every sign,
Mm-hmm.
other than to generally look at the locations and the sizes, you know, kind of conceptually look at
Yep.
the project. So that's just a couple of my thoughts. And then also, it seems to me then this doesn't start the official 106 review process. Is that correct? That would happen in the next go round?
I would agree because these are just so far and out in the field. They're
Yeah.
so far off the mark.
Yeah.
Even the number of posts. Many of them are designed as two posted signs, and they would never fit between the road and the sidewalk.
Right. So the whole, so that particular sign detail wouldn't work in that location.
Correct. So
Yeah,
I mean, if we start by just boiling down to the signs that really need review and refinement, um, verify location. Location should be all set.
yes,
And
yeah.
sort of move that forward. Then it's size, which has to be
Mhm.
resolved. Number of posts, what the posts are made of, and
Uh-huh.
then we get into the specifics of the font size. So we can move this fairly closer to what we want it to be, and then we're going to have to wait for the next submittal.
Yeah.
Margie, and any lighting on these signs?
Hmm.
No,
Okay.
but they are reflective letters, some of them. So I think that is something that we should flag. Is what are the letters actually made out of?
Hmm.
And what I sent to them, trying to explain to them that these signs were oversized. There's a sign that says Concord Museum. I think the second line is the Emerson House. And so that was probably put up by the town. It has 4-inch letters. The letters have been condensed because to get 4-inch cap height on a relatively small sign, uh, the letters have to be pulled together a bit. So I think that's something that we'd have to look at together is what is the cap height that's desired for these signs. And once we decide on the overall sign size that's appropriate, that really impacts what the lettering looks like. And many of the signs are shedding the serif fonts, and
Mm.
going with a sans serif font. So even making that decision, and making sure that all of the commissions are comfortable with the type of lettering and the letter spacing and the consistency throughout Concord Center and the roads radiating from it. There's just a lot of considerations that we would want to identify as much in our response to the sign contractor so that we get closer to where we want to be.
Well, so I'm kind of curious, are you wanting us to reject this? I think we want to work with you and to support you because clearly you're not happy with this proposal from this sign outfit.
Oh, yeah, I would reject it.
You would reject it?
At this time, it's
Okay, well, I'm just trying to, understand what, because I think I think everybody kind of agrees they're too big. There were two different font sizes, something around the North Bridge. It seemed to me that was a different font, but whatever.
yes,
What we can do to help you get to the next
well,
step.
I think if a member could really dive into this with the park and clarify what makes the most sense for the historic district, and then we will convey that to the contractor, and then we will receive a new submittal that hopefully we would like to share and that we think will work as well. So we're really at this point looking for a mechanism to come up what we all think would be best.
Nancy Frisella Lee?
Yeah, something you just said that you would like maybe perhaps a member to work with the national park. And I'm not sure whether it should be someone from the HDC or someone from our commission. That's the first point. I just had another question going back to some of the signs. It's not really clear to me what you worked out with the contractor, how much input you know on wording you had and how you gave them a list of the wording, because some of the signs were quite wordy. Like one sign that included the Wayside, and then it's the Wayside - Home of Authors, and that sign also had other places on it, probably the Orchard House and the Concord Museum. So the Wayside, the Orchard House is as a home of an important author, and the Wayside, no one's going to know what that means. Another one was, and this might be just details that we don't need to talk about right now, but one was the Nathan Miriam House. I didn't know if it needed Nathan on it because more than one person may have lived on in that. There were more than one Miriam. Another one was Burial Ground. It had a direction to Burial Ground, and there's a couple of burial grounds. So which one? That wasn't worked out. And the other point that I just wanted to make is that you mentioned that that some of the new signs were in parking lots, and there were because there were so many, I don't remember all of them, but it
Yeah.
seemed like there were too many. And where there are small parking lots, the number of signs could be a little bit burdensome.
Although there are a lot of parking lots in the park.
Mm.
I kind of took, again, going back to Margie, how many of these are brand new signs or how many are replacements? Because
Yeah, well, some of the signs that indicate, going back to your question about the very busy sign with the multiple destinations, I think that one is at the junction of Lexington and Hayward.
yeah,
And
Hawthorne Lane, I think you mean.
well,
Haywood,
no,
Haywood Meadow, really?
so when
there
you
was
get
never a sign there.
and I don't know if
think
it's
so.
still there, but when you get to that island, there was a sign that said well, if you want to see these things, you go this way. If you want to see those things, you go that way. So, and then there was also one at the Rotary near the flagpole that said, okay, if you want to do these things, you go this way. If you want to go this, you go that way. So now with people using navigation, I think we could just even question how many people are using these signs at this point.
Hmm.
And then, so I do think we want to, you made a very good point about the orchard house versus the wayside, simplifying, uh, the first name, adding the first names, that is also an important insight. And we've had that discussion with the sign contractor previously. So there's a lot to unpack in your comments. Uh, and then the question about the parking lot. Yes, there will be a new sign at every parking lot, and that sign will have a map and rules. Those will be pretty small. Bulletin board, and give people a better sense of where they are in the park, because we do have a lot of people who are just, they get out of their car and they have really no idea where they are and what to do. So, and that will take some pressure off of another wayside that will be updated, which really provides more of the historical story. Um,
Melissa?
Another question, what about speaking with the folks at the visitor center? Because the town of Concord itself, Mimi Graney, the economic development, and Beth Williams at the visitor center have a sense of, I think, what kinds of questions people are asking, the confusion they may be having, what signage might be necessary. I think it would be helpful to run this by them, certainly the ones that are in town Concord Center.
okay, that's great. Yeah, if you could send me their contact info.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think,
Definitely.
sorry, Melissa, I think we're organizing a town group to get together. So Margie had sent it to the town. The town is going to
Okay.
respond, but I thought that you all should know
Yeah.
at the same time. And I've also sent this to the HDC and just made them aware that this is coming down the pike. And it's great to have all of this information from Margie, which we didn't have. I didn't realize
Mhm.
that you were not happy with it and that you need our support in changing the package. So thank you for filling us in on that.
Well,
And we
it's
can
Lauren?
certainly organize a group from the town to meet with you soon.
okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Lauren?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Margie, what your time frame is in terms of comments back.
Well, so we had sent our comments back, I would say about a month ago. Well, no, over a month ago. And that was when Harper's Ferry Center said, well, you can't get a revised draft to take to the towns. And so then that's when we brought it to the town of Concord and the town of Lexington. Um, so at this point, they're just waiting for us to resubmit our comments with uh, I guess, a confirmation on what the changes are that the town would like. And we, we of course would want to submit it as soon as possible, um, because the next piece of the contract is waiting. And if we extend this too long, then we would run out of the period of performance of the contract.
Mhm. Are you looking for something in the next 2 weeks or 30 days or?
Well, I'm meeting with Lexington on November 7th. And unfortunately, it's sort of the same thing where for me to get something in writing from the towns, I need to go to the commissions. And so
Mhm.
I'm going there for one sign that's near the Battle Green. So I guess I would say by early November, if we could consolidate comments from the town of Concord, it should be as close to what we all think it should be, but there, of course, will be another draft.
Mhm.
Right, that was my question too. So you're saying that the town of Concord needs to review this entire package in order for you to even move forward with the signs on your own property before April 19th, 2025, is
Oh,
that correct?
well, no. So
Oh, okay.
there are two components to the sign project. The first signs are already installed, and so we met with the town of Concord regarding signs that went up at the park boundaries,
Mhm.
and there are two in the American Mile Historic District. So there's one on Lexington Road and one on Old Bedford Road. So that first phase is complete. We also have a new gateway sign in Lexington. I don't know if you've seen it. Um, so we're into the second phase, and
Yes.
the second phase is the post April 19th signs. So
Okay,
we know they're not going in April 2025.
good.
We don't
Phew.
even know if they'll be up in May, June, or July, but eventually all signs that we like, we think will work for the park, will be installed, and it will be actually another contract. It will be a fabrication and installation contract. So not
I drive by that sign every day, Margie, in Lexington, and it actually is quite nice. It came out real nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a lot of. It was just a pleasure to work with the team that kind of put it all together. So we were very pleased with the fabrication and installation contractor. They
Yep.
have a lot of experience working with the parks. So, but I hope that answers your question. So
Mhm.
if we think of coming up with uh, a shared agreement on the size and the location of the signs, um, even cap height, if we could get that sorted out. Content, it sounds like uh, some people have some input on what some of the signs should say. And we certainly want the town's input on all of the signs that have town or others destinations, such as the Emerson House or the Orchard House. Now, the burial sign, that's an existing sign. It's on Lowell Road. And so we kept it, but we're curious if the town wants to keep that as an identified destination when people get to the foot of Liberty Street and they're confronted with Lowell Road. Do I go uh, south into town or do I turn right and go to the Barrett Farm?
Hmm.
Marky, so have you reached out to the attractions directly? I'm guessing you haven't, is that right?
That's correct. I think we really value getting the town's input first
Okay,
and commissions. And then once we're aligned, we would certainly reach out to each of the entities that's listed on the sign and make sure that this is something that they agree with.
So, Anne, this is a question for you. Should we have set up a joint discussion with the HDC first? And then each put our individual inputs into this?
Or could we submit, pardon me, Alan, for jumping in, could since this is kind of an informal review,
Right.
which I think, Margie, great idea, because you're gonna get feedback and you have a greater chance of success, right? Doing it this way. If HEC and the Historical Commission provided some informal consolidated comments, I think that would be most helpful, because we wouldn't want to have conflicting comments, right?
Right, and we would want those comments to also align with the town comments,
Mhm.
Yes,
so that
right,
we're all on the same
Right.
page, right?
Right,
right,
that's what, yeah.
yeah.
And would it help if I just distilled out the signs that are
Questionable.
on the road, and both within the park, but also within the local historic districts. And what I appreciate is if you also take a look at the signs that are in the park proper and have some suggestions, but we could easily just take those out of the review. Now keep in mind that the Monument Street parking lot and the LA and the area around the Minuteman statue, that's all town of Concord land. So we would want to keep all of those signs in the review process.
But I think from a 106 point of view, Alan, wouldn't you say it wouldn't matter if it was in a historic district or not? And it's just that the HGC has purview over local historic districts
They
only.
have, that's why it's good to get a group together. They
Right.
have their section, we have our section, and the town has
Yeah,
theirs.
right.
Anne, would
Yeah.
it make sense, if a member of the Historical Commission and a member of the HDC participated in that meeting all at
With the
once?
town,
Yeah,
with the town.
yeah, so I mean, it would
Yes,
be,
that would.
this
that
is a
would make
lot of
sense.
material, but it would, I
It
think,
is.
each in person would benefit from other people's
Hmm.
criticisms or suggestions,
Yeah,
rather than doing it in a silo.
yeah.
I would think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'll have to check with the decision makers, but yes, I will certainly advocate for
Mhm.
that. That makes a lot of
Okay.
sense.
Is there any public comment, any from the public on this meeting? Okay. This is an informal discussion. I don't think we need to take a vote or anything like that, Ann, right? This is.
Right. Mhm.
So we can wait to hear what we get from the town as to, getting the committee members together.
Right, I'll touch base with the town planner and get back to the chair and to Margie and the
Okay.
HCC. Mhm.
Margie, anything else on your end, or?
Well, just to let you know, I'll be out of the country next week, so I'll be any follow-up, I would see it starting on October 22nd.
So don't contact you next week?
Well, you can send me an email,
I'm
but
kidding.
don't
I'm
ex-
kidding.
don't take my government phone out of the country.
I'm kidding you.
All right. Well, and thank you for the more eyes on these signs, the better. So thank you all.
Mhm.
Thank you, Margie.
Thank you, Margie.
Hey, good night.
Night.
Okay. Moving on, another 106. 12 Monument Square, the T-Mobile.
Hi, this is Justina Hill from Centerline Communications on behalf of T-Mobile. How are you guys?
Good,
Great.
If you'd like, I could share my screen. I don't know if that would
sure, yep.
visually help. Let me do that. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, perfect. So again, this is in regards to 12 Monument. Currently, T-Mobile has 4 antennas installed in the steeple on top. And they're proposing to swap out 3 of those antennas. There will be no work or anything affecting the exterior of the building.
So nothing will be visible from the street or,
No, we're just going to be swapping out what's existing inside this steeple. We're not going to be altering it at all.
any, Melissa?
A question is, you're swapping it out because you need new equipment or it's just, it's a new technology, or I'm just curious why.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a new technology, but it is, well, it's the larger antennas to try to help expand and enhance their network coverage. The antennas in here haven't been touched in a long time, and things keep changing. Our cell phones keep getting the antennas just need to keep up with the cell phones, so they just need to swap out their antennas.
Well,
do you-
I was just gonna say, if it enhances cell coverage in downtown Concord, that would be a very big plus, especially since it won't change. It's not damaging the steeple, and it's
No.
already pre-existing.
Correct. Mhm.
And that was my question, Justina, is do you know what the existing coverage is and what the new proposed coverage will be?
I don't have that in front of me, but it definitely should help coverage in that area if you're having issues right now, because again, this site hasn't been upgraded in a while.
Lauren?
Yes, so my big question is, shouldn't the HDC just respond to this? So that's one question. And then the second question is, from my reading of the submittal, the question is, does the Historical Commission want to do a formal Section 106 review? So we have the option to request to review, or to just or to pass, essentially.
Right.
So it's two.
Yeah. Yeah,
points.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would think personally, I think this is more of a HDC issue than a Historical Commission.
Although we're the entity that does the 106 review.
Okay.
So it just happens that it's interesting because this has a double jurisdiction.
Nancy?
Normally, I would say yes. I think we've got another 106 review that's bigger. And the Route 2A project is bound to come back at some point in time, hopefully before too long. And the Historical Commission is weighed into that heavily as part of the Section 106 process.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I would say. This seems much more simple.
yeah,
But
I agree.
Also, it has been approved in the past, although I don't remember, I don't know when they first installed these. I wasn't a member. I don't remember any of this.
I don't remember either.
In fact, I didn't know there were cell towers in there. I thought they were.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I believe we do need your approval though, so it's part of the Section 106.
So that would be a letter, Alan, just to say that, the Historical Commission concludes that it will have either no effect, right, or no adverse effect.
Mhm.
It's probably no effect because you can't see it from the
Can't see it.
outside.
Yeah.
But we would still need a vote.
Yes.
Do you need
Yeah.
a motion? You need a motion?
Anne has her hand up. Anne?
Right, just quickly on HDC, they only review changes that are visible from a public way, street, or place. And since I just wanted clarification and something to actually state that. So now that we know that, it would not be subject to HDC review.
Okay.
But just out of curiosity, yeah, I know that the HDC only looks at the interior, but what effect does this have on the interior of the structure? Is it attached to, I'm assuming that
Sure.
it's attached to already existing sort of modern elements, and so that it would not impact historic elements within the building? Is that true, or?
We do a structural analysis before we obviously modify and make sure, everything inside the structure can accommodate the proposed antennas. And I believe our structural did recommend that we boost up some of the beaming inside. We won't be, altering altering anything, but we will be obviously making it structurally sound, so there's no issues. And the
Justina?
mounts are already there. It's just the wood underneath the floor.
Justina?
Yes.
So I've actually done these before, these rooms before.
Mhm.
Are you gonna increase the size of the electrical service in the basement to handle any new equipment that's going in the basement?
Let me check. Let me see. If we
Because typically when they increase the amount of coverage, it's a larger piece of equipment in the basement.
Okay. Yes. Well, the equipment will be swapped out.
Yeah.
We are going to be, there is already equipment in the basement. We
Mhm.
will be swapping that out for new equipment as well.
Right.
Yes.
But is that gonna require more power, which typically means you're taking over another section of the church and increasing the service?
I'd have to check on that. We usually, when we first look at these sites, we do take that into consideration.
Yep.
Let me just look at my, sorry, you're seeing all my screens now, sorry. Let me see here what we have as far as that. I don't have that we needed to upgrade the power, but I could get back to you on that.
Okay. Just a question.
Yeah, I could get back to you on that.
Okay, because typically with a larger server, more fans are required for cooling.
Oh, yes. I believe we check for all of that. We do a heat, we check for all of that for sure.
Okay.
We have, actually, you know what? I have somebody else that's just listening and he checked for me. We do have 200 amp service there.
Mhm.
So we won't need to upgrade the power. That's as much as we need. So we have enough power.
Okay.
So that's not likely to result in any change to the exterior of the building in any way.
No, there's nothing, again, we're not going to be touching the exterior at all.
So Alan, do you want a motion?
If unless the
If
public
there's no
has
other,
comment,
yeah, there may be other comments, I guess, sorry.
are there any additional comments from commission members or public?
No.
Michael?
No.
Okay, let's a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the change in the equipment at Holy Parish. Is that right? Sorry. Holy Family.
Holy Family Parish.
Sorry. Holy Family, you can tell. Holy Family Church.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Let's take a vote. All in favor, start with Melissa.
Yes.
Alan is yes. Michael?
Yes.
Nancy Frisella Lee?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Nancy Nelson?
Well, okay, I
think the ayes have it. I think we're good, Justina.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea it was there. I really had to look around and yeah, it was
I
interesting.
know.
Yeah.
Trust me, when I started working in this industry, you don't ever see, know that they're there. And then you're like, wow, I didn't know there was one there.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're-
good.
yeah. Especially this is a beautiful historic town. So obviously you don't want big towers. So they do try to put them in steeples and things that they can to make, aesthetic.
Yeah, and steeples seem to work quite well.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Justina.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Moving on to the historical marker for 167 Hubbard Street. I think, didn't we talk about this before?
So
I think so. Is anyone?
I think this is a different address.
Oh, okay.
The previous one was Mr. Calderella's house, I believe.
Okay.
Right, I
And
think
trying to find that in the
we
minutes.
brought it up last time, but I hadn't done any of the research and I wasn't sure whether 1886 was an accurate date. So I did dig into it a little bit more, and I found, that circa 1895 is probably closer, because it didn't show up on the 1889 map. And then, let's see, it was on the person, Edward Tuttle, he was in the directories in like 1892 and 1895, and certainly 1895 at that address. Maybe not in 1892. It may have been elsewhere on Hubbard Street. So Scott Thorpe is here, and I think you're a descendant, right, of Edward Tuttle?
Not a descendant of Tuttle, no.
Oh, okay.
My family got the house from the Tuttles, though, the Thorpe family.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful old house on Hubbard Street, one of the first kind of subdivisions of the town. And my father, Dooley Thorpe, was the athletic director at CCHS for a very long time. And my brother lives in the house next door, and so I also have an application in for that house, which is 173 Hubbard Street. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at that one as well, but.
Oh, that's interesting.
But yeah, I think I don't remember where I got those exact dates in, but Anne, I appreciate you digging into and finding the kind of more correct, accurate dates. It looks like 1895, 1896 are probably correct for both houses.
Okay.
So do you want a motion, or, with, given that it was Edward Tuttle House circa 1895, is that what the
Did you
request?
come up with wording, Scott, for?
It's on the,
It's on the application,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I just have it as the Edward L. Tuttle House, 1886, but that should be 1895, I believe.
Circa.
Circa
Mhm.
circa 1895.
I have a question. Do we
Yes.
know if Edward Tuttle was married?
He was, yes, and I had sent Scott his wife's name. I think it was Annie, right?
Annie Tuttle,
Anne?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I didn't find any specific record of that, but
Yeah,
seems like you had found
sometimes,
that in.
sometimes we have suggested to include the spouse's name. But often that has been because the spouse was also a prominent person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going off what was on the Massachusetts Historical Commission site, but I would be more than happy to add her if you guys
I
think
think
that's
we should-
appropriate.
Nancy?
I would like to have a policy on this that's a little clearer before we change to that on a site-by-site basis.
Yeah, well, I mean, because in fact, Mary Merrick Brooks' house, the Nathan and Mary Merrick Brooks' house, she's probably more famous than he, which is why I remember, because I encouraged that we include her name. In this case, I don't have a, I don't know anything about her.
Annie.
He was he sold fish, or is this, right? Is that what?
Yeah, he had a fish market, which my family somehow bought from him. So it became the E.O. Thorpe Fish Market after it was the Tuttle Fish Market. And it's right in the driveway between Barrett's Real Estate and Tuttle Livery. Like, it used to sit right there. We have a ton of old pictures of it in our house and old
Right.
signs of the actual fish market and stuff. So it's pretty nice. And then
Wow.
my great-grandfather's brother, Ole Thorpe, ran a shoe shop right in downtown as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
they were both longtime merchants.
So how long has the house been in the Thorpe family?
My father inherited from my grandfather in I think I was 3 years old, so 1976, 1975. But my grandfather, my grandfather's wife, Anna Thorpe, inherited from the Tuttles. And I'm not exactly sure when that transfer happened.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if it would be the Tuttle Thorpe house. We've never done anything quite like that.
I would be open to it. I'm sure my father would be very happy about that.
Okay,
I think following on the MHC, kind of the way the Macris forms are filled out, if you were going to do that, you'd need to add the historical significance of the Thorpe family, which you could absolutely do, but that would be,
Yeah,
I
you
think
could-
following what the inventory form says, back to kind of what Nancy said about, this isn't meant to, cast aspersions on the Thorpe
No.
family.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
any way. But it, trying to stay with what we have historical documentation for, I think
Yeah.
is.
I would say give the Thorpes another 100 years and then we'll
Yeah.
be significant.
Come back to us, 100 years.
I was gonna say, you can always come back even before then,
Yeah,
when we have policies.
right.
so
Okay.
should
So there
we-
should be. I made the last motion.
Well, so I guess I'll make a motion that we would approve the sign for this property at 167 Hubbard, Edward L. Tuttle House, circa 1895.
I second.
Let's take a vote for this. All in favor? We can start with Melissa again.
Aye.
Alan is aye. Nancy Frisella Lee.
I,
Lauren.
Yeah. Yes.
Nancy Nelson. And
I
where's,
again.
is Michael still here or
I don't see him.
did we lose you, Michael? Oh,
Maybe he stepped out.
okay. But so that's we have passed that. So that's
Thank you.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott.
And did we want to talk about the other property or should that be a separate
Is
meeting?
that Elm Street?
No, I had put in another application for 173 Hubbard Street.
173.
Yeah.
Right,
The
so
one
I
right
did
next
add
door.
it to the website. And I think that all of that information was straight off the Macris form and that seemed all correct. So it's pretty straightforward. So if you're able to address this tonight, I would think since Scott's here, you might as well
That makes
run
sense.
through
Sure.
it, right?
Yep.
Sure.
Any questions or?
Well, what's the proposed name then?
So this one is the Anne Byron House. And
Oh,
so
right.
Anne Byron was like a cook for Ralph Waldo Emerson at one
Right.
point. She's an Irish immigrant. Her husband, James Joseph Byron, was one of the oldest or living people in Concord at the time of his death. They're
Oh, right.
both buried out in St. Patrick's, is it? The one that's beyond Sleepy Hollow?
St. Bernard? No,
St.
Bernard's
Yeah, whatever that I always forget the name of that one.
Catholic Cemetery, though.
Yes. And my family bought it from Charles Byron, who was the grandson of Anne Byron. Charlie was a very interesting character next door, but he was one of the Minutemen and would dress up every April 19th.
Yeah, the picture is great of him. He looked familiar, actually. How long did he stay in the Minutemen?
He was, I mean, as long
Long time ago.
as long as he could. Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
diehard for sure.
Yeah.
But he passed in 94. And my
Oh,
my
so-
family bought it from Dot, his wife, like about a year after that.
So he could have looked familiar to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
He was
definitely.
a man around town for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time.
Okay,
That's great.
Yeah, so another kind of old family from Concord, and
that's really fun.
it would be nice to have both the houses there right next to each other that are both now in the Thorpe family. Be kind of part of the marker program.
Do we have a motion or?
I just have one question.
Yes, Nancy.
So I just want to clarify, I think I understand why you want to call it the Anne Byron House rather than the Anne Byron Burns House. It's to highlight the earlier period in her history when she was Ralph Waldo Emerson's cook. Is that correct?
That is another good question. I think, again, I was just taking from what was on the historical commission, but it might be more appropriate to be the Anne Byron Burns house,
I think it's Burns Byron, isn't it?
or
I
Burns
think so
Byron. Yeah,
too.
Yeah, so
sorry.
Burns is her maiden
I'm
name.
getting,
It's her maiden name.
oh, okay, I'm getting confused. So it's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Burns, could it be Anne Burns Byron House?
It could.
That's
And
what
then
I'm saying.
I-
it said.
Her husband was a significant person in Concord too. And there's Byron Road, I think that, and
Oh,
he developed that road.
Yeah.
where
So
is
you
that?
may want to add his name.
Where
to
is
it.
the
I know that
Byron
the
Road?
deed actually was to Anne, but the two of them were married and they were living in that house.
Yeah, James Joseph Byron.
James. So the James and Anne Burns Byron house, circa
No,
18.
because he wouldn't have this.
he wouldn't have,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have Burns in
James.
there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
would be James
do
and Anne
James.
Byron house.
Well, that's okay. She's still well known as Anne Byron, right?
Yeah.
The cook.
Yes.
So it would be the James and Anne Byron house circa 1890? Is
I
it-
would, the data would kind of maybe rely on Anne's input on that one again.
1900? Well,
Yeah, the
1900,
date-
I guess.
You're right.
1900.
Yeah, I think it was pre-1900, so because I think it was built right at the same time as the other house, maybe slightly after, so it might be circa 1896 or something.
95, 1896.
Yeah,
Say circa 1895.
Yeah.
Just round it off, right?
yeah, so they'd both be the same.
James and Anne
Yeah.
Byron.
That's
house.
fun.
Okay, do you want a motion again? Should we try it
Yes.
again?
Yes, please.
So I move that we approve the naming of 173 Hubbard Street as the James and Anne Byron House circa 1895.
Do I
Second,
hear a second?
second.
Second, let's take a vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Alan is aye, Nancy Frisella, Lee,
I,
Lauren,
Yep.
and Nancy Nelson,
I,
and the ayes have it. So
good.
Thank you
That's-
again.
that's good.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Great.
So just what are the next steps for me on my side? Do I get
I'll-
some notification or how do I proceed, I guess?
Yes, I'll send you an email with the contact information for the sign manufacturer and
Great.
just confirm, and I'll loop him in on the email and confirm the text that we talked about tonight. So
Excellent.
you'll be hearing
All right.
from me. Okay.
Is that,
Perfect.
is that still Crosby's?
Yes.
There's this- Yeah. His sign shop is amazing and the sign museum there is even
Right.
more amazing for those.
I hope I get to visit it. I'm a graphic designer by
Oh,
trade.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I want-
unbelievable. It's
I
It's
wanted
awesome.
to say, I wanted to say, when you were talking about that you have photos of the old shops,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have any of the actual signs, do you? The old
No,
signs?
we do. Yeah, we have a bunch.
Oh, you
Wow.
do? Okay,
Wow.
because
The
you should
the
go to see
original
the
hand
muse-
painted signs. Yeah.
Yeah, so you should consider going to, the museum. And if you're not willing to donate your signs, if you want to keep those in your family, he might be interested in having photographs. That would be fun. And he keeps a website and he has a sort of running commentary where people can tell stories.
Oh,
It's
great.
nice. It's a nice site.
Yeah, the other thing is that my great-grandfather and his brother were the heads of the Norwegian Temperance Society. And so we have all these old signs of or I guess it was called the Scandinavian Temperance Society. And so we have
Oh,
all these
that's-
old signs of that as well.
You should talk to him and, so that
Oh.
information is all saved.
I definitely will. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
He-
West
And
Concord.
also consider making copies of photographs and giving it to our special collections in the library.
Yeah, that's a good call. We have a lot, so
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
They
a
might
big
be,
project.
That's really,
digitized.
that is really
Right.
fun. And he gives a great tour, by the way.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic. Well, thank you all, and thank you for doing the good work. I appreciate it.
thank you, Scott.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
So I have one more. Is it Elm Street Anne? Is
Yes.
that,
48 Elm Street.
yes.
Yeah.
Is that Kelly?
I've really
Love
enjoyed this meeting. It's very interesting.
Love this house.
Love this house. I love
You,
this
I
house.
love
too.
this house. You're
Oh
very
my
lucky
gosh.
to live in it.
Yes. Yes, we love it as well. And so we've lived here for 3 years. So I don't have the history as the other gentleman with his family, but I was looking at the history of the home, and it's fascinating because it has a twin house. And I wasn't sure. I was actually I started looking up the history because I wanted to know. We heard conflicting when we bought the house, whether this house was moved or that house was moved, but it appears that the twin house was moved to River Street to build the house next door,
Oh,
Right
which I
around-
thought was interesting.
Just around the corner, right around
Yes.
the corner. Yeah.
On River Street, it's the exact like mirror image, which there's another mirror. I noticed there's a couple of other mirror image houses in town as well. And I
yeah,
It's a popular
the corner
style.
of Devon's and something.
Yes, and I didn't know that. Someone pointed that out to me, and I thought that was fascinating that people built the mirror image houses, which is really interesting. So yes, we love
Yeah.
our house, and it looks like it's pretty historical. I've been doing some research. It looks like Wheeler Farm is very well known in Concord, and this was part of Wheeler Farm. It's a Wheeler Farm Cottage, is what it's called. I did not know that. I only know what is on the form that I gave. Like I said, I don't know anything beyond that. And then it looks like it was the Kelly Whitney house, and my name's Kelly, so I thought that was interesting. That was fun. And it looked like the Whitney family was a librarian in the town for 26 years, so I thought that was also interesting. So the connection to the town. So I'm not really sure because it looks like on that form there's 2 titles to the house, the Kelly Whitney house, but also it says Wheeler Farm Cottage. So yeah,
Gosh, that's a
so I'd
hard
love
one.
to put a plaque to kind of, and what was also interesting, because when we bought the house, the realtor told us, if you look on realtor.com, which I guess maybe that's not extremely accurate, it says the house was built in 1819, but on this form it says 1850s. So
Oh,
Is
I
it-
think, I would trust the Macros form.
yes, absolutely.
More so, and 1850 seems right.
That
to
seems
me.
more right. Yes,
That's the right period for
yes,
um,
yes.
Davis and Downing,
Yeah.
in that period, right?
Yeah, I haven't had enough, I'm sorry, today I didn't have enough time to read through the Macros form thoroughly, so I would like to go back and learn more about it, and about your question about the Wheeler Farm Cottage. Maybe Anne has taken more time than I did to
Well-
look at that history, so I would, yeah.
It's said
So
it's
I
built
would-
by Samuel Wheeler. I mean, there's a lot of Wheelers in this town, and I don't know their relationship.
Yeah.
Mm.
He built it. Ellen Whitney's important because she was had a librarian for so many years. I mean, it's kind of a matter of picking out the most important people.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if the historical plaque gets approved. I didn't know if because that Macros form had both titles on it. I don't know if I always, when I walk around town, I always look at the historic plaques. I really find them fascinating. I love historical homes. So I did notice sometimes I've seen a couple that have had 2 titles on them. So I didn't know if it's historically significant
Oh,
to put
interesting.
both, to put
Well-
the Kelly Whitney house, and it says also on the form Wheeler Farm Cottage. So I don't know. That's up to you.
I tried to do a little bit of the title search because it looks like it was sold to Kelly in 1867, so she wasn't the first owner.
Wow.
And it seems like it seems as if it was well, she purchased it from William Hurd. So the Macros form talks about they weren't sure which Hurd it was. And it would have taken a lot of time to really sit down and figure it out. But if you want us to try to do that, we can, but it would take a little time.
Oh, no, I don't want you to have to do that.
Okay.
But the
Um,
herd family was there were a lot of herds in town, so it might be, then it could be the Herd Kelly Whitney house. So maybe we should take a little bit of time.
It's up to you.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't, because, then that would sort of set a precedent. Like the house I used to live in Lowell Road, I think we were the third or fourth owner, but so you wouldn't want to have a succession of all this. It would just clearly be the Saalfield house, right? I'm just, just to help you determine who, and this goes back to Nancy Nelson's point, what is the policy, especially in a house? This house, the architecture is important, right? It's a Andrew Jackson Downing style house, who is very important. Whereas the people who lived in it were maybe not, sometimes the people who live in the house are more important than the design. And in this
Yeah.
case, I think the design
More important than the people.
more important.
Yeah.
Which argues for the Wheeler Cottage.
Because he
Or
built
maybe-
it, because he had it built,
Yeah,
that would,
and more than one, right? He built a couple?
he built the two, the one that got moved onto River Street.
Yeah, yeah. What's the address on River Street? Did that,
I
did
think
that surface?
It says it on the form. That's what I was looking at here.
I was just at a house on River Street yesterday.
18
Next to the church.
River Street,
1815?
18 River Street.
Oh, thank you.
It's right next to the church.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the church side.
Again, I don't know the history well enough, but that is making me just suggest that another possibility could be Wheeler Farm Cottage, whatever the architect's name is, Downing, architect.
I don't think.
Well,
I don't think we
I'm
know
not
for
suggesting-
certain. It's in the
Andrew
form.
Jackson Davis,
Excuse me, Andrew Jackson Davis. Andrew,
Davis, yeah.
And I
Andrew
think it was
Downing.
from, I
And-
believe
Well,
it's
they're
from
two
the pattern
different
book.
there are two different
individuals.
people, right? I
Yeah,
know
but they were sort
I
of
I don't
working
know the
on the
names.
same.
I'm just throwing that up just because I don't know any of the characters, this person was the librarian. I think maybe it just needs a little bit more thought to just sort out what is the most important thing about the house.
Right, and I think that the architect would be unknown, but they were probably following the pattern books, right? By
Right,
Davis.
Yeah.
I have some of those in my library.
Oh,
Yeah, they're reprints of them. Yeah, they're.
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't design it. It was like Sears Roebuck house,
Right.
kind of.
Well, you didn't buy a kit, because those were
Right.
actually kids.
No, yeah, they were kids, but
Yeah.
Yes, they were. Yep.
yeah, it might be disappointing to wait a little bit, but it does seem that
Oh, it's fine.
we're, kind of
and maybe
floundering
pin
around.
down a date, maybe it would be, interesting to try to pin down a date if it, since it was a pattern house.
I think that maybe we're overthinking this a little bit, and that it's really important in cases where there are individuals associated with the house that are historically important, right? So I think that's kind of the policy thing. We want to make sure that the historical characters are acknowledged. In a case where, in a sense, the house architecture is perhaps more important than the people who lived there, then all we really need is a descriptor. So something like the Wheeler Farm Cottage to me is sort of vernacular.
Yep.
And kind of reflects what it
Mm.
was originally for, and doesn't so much call attention to the individuals. Unless, someone wanted to do a deeper dive and determine if any of the previous residents were historically significant and you wanted to elevate their and then I think a circa date we know it's going to be sort of mid 19th century would be fine. I mean,
Lauren, to your point, Lauren,
Yeah.
we're gonna be discussing that for the CPC application for the modern structures, right? Isn't
Well, but
that,
that's 20th century. This
but
is,
it's still more about the modern structures versus who's
People.
living.
Yes,
Right.
well, yes, because that's really an architectural study,
Right.
right?
So is your idea, Lauren, to go with the Wheeler Cottage with circa whatever?
Yeah,
And
I
then
think-
as maybe, Kelly, your research or our research is more fulsome, it can always be renamed.
Oh,
repaint or
it doesn't matter to me. I just, whatever you think is appropriate. I don't have any experience with any of this and I don't, so whatever in your experience you think is the best name is fine with me.
Happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Lauren, I like the Wheeler Farm Cottage circa 1850.
yeah.
I do too. Yeah, I really like the Wheeler Cottage.
That sounds great.
And I think from my perspective, getting the cottage name in there is
Yeah.
really indicative of that period and the work of A.J. Davis and Andrew Jackson Downing, who
Yep.
just, yeah.
Yep.
So that speaks
Okay,
to
Known
that.
for their cottages.
I make that motion.
Second,
Do we know what the motion is, Ann?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
I
So
think
we'll-
the
we'll-
issue is the date, though. Did we get the date sorted?
Yeah,
Circa
circa
1850.
1850.
Right, on the Macros form, it says circa 1852 to 59.
Yeah.
So then circa 1856, right? Split the difference.
59.
Yeah, that's what the title
what I
page
have
on
written
the
down.
macros says.
Yeah.
Circa 1856. I think
I
that's a
think
good number.
too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kelly, you good with that?
Oh, yes, that sounds great. Yeah, yeah, I love that because it is a cottagey style home. It's a cute little cottage. So yeah, we love it.
That's
So
great.
yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Let's
Great.
take a vote on it.
Have fun.
I'll
Okay.
start with Melissa.
Yes,
All right.
Alan is yes. Nancy Frisella Lee.
Yes,
Lauren,
Yes.
Nancy Nelson,
I
Yeah,
and Michael Capizzi.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
back.
finally back on. I'm sorry. I don't know what
That's
happened.
okay. That's
Oh.
okay. The ayes have carried.
all
Great.
right.
Thank you.
thank you.
Great.
Very exciting.
Okay.
Kelly, it's really nice to meet you.
Nice to
And-
meet you.
Yes, it was nice
Kelly.
being all, and like I said, it was fascinating listening
Yeah.
to your meeting. I found it very interesting. So
Oh, good. We'll see more of you maybe.
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll see you for
Never know.
coffee.
thank you
We'll see
very
for
much.
coffee.
Have a
Yeah,
good night.
in the cottage. Thank you.
But,
Thanks.
oops, we lost Michael again. Uh-oh.
Um,
Oh, no, we didn't.
he's
he is.
there.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
there
I'm
he
here.
is.
I'm
Right.
here.
So the next order of business is the historic preservation plan. Elizabeth?
Right, I'm not sure if she was
Oh,
was going to
okay.
be speaking tonight. But I could,
I'm here,
and
but
you're
I
welcome
was-
to.
I'm participating.
Okay. This is just
And
a
Anne's
brief
update
overview.
From Anne?
Oh, sure.
Is it from
So we're planning on holding a joint historical commission and HDC meeting regarding the historic preservation plan next Thursday during the day. The time isn't quite set, but we're thinking possibly 10 a.m. and I was wondering if that works for most of you. Good, all right.
Right.
So we had shared the feedback with Elizabeth and Peter, and they've made some revisions to the documents that they had sent. They've focused on like the table of contents and what we sort of want to focus on in the plan, and they're going to be showing us that, well, actually, she sent the information today. So I'll be sending that out. So you all have a chance to review that before the meeting next Thursday. also the survey results, I had sent those out maybe 2 days ago. And I know there's a lot to digest there. Elizabeth and Peter have tried to distill it, and there are some, questions where they put a lot of focus, and then some of the others where it's more of an overview. So I guess when I first read it, I was just so blown over by all of the really amazing feedback from the people of the town of Concord, and Concord really shone through, and the voices of Concord really showed through. And I just think that this is just a great year, 2024, 2025, to have all of these voices of Concord really celebrate history. So I wouldn't want that to get lost. So, I mean, I really, really obviously appreciate everything that the consultants have pulled together, but I really want to hear, I personally would love to hear those Concord voices in this report. So, and I could pull some out, but it would be even better if you all took a look at the questions and maybe chose the ones that you thought were most moving to you and were most reflective of your town. So that was just a thought, just because also it's a ton of material, and if we could break it up amongst the whole group, then it wouldn't feel so daunting.
Were you
So
looking
how
for
do you all
during
feel
the,
about that?
were you looking during the day, Anne? Was that 10 o'clock, or was that the 6 o'clock you were thinking of doing for the meeting?
Well, of course, I'd suggest during the day.
Right.
That works for me, but
Okay.
it's what works for you. You're the committee.
Okay.
Does
guess
6 work better, or does 10 a.m. work better?
It's whatever the committee thinks.
10's better for me, I think.
Which is better, Nancy?
10.
10 o'clock? Yeah, Melissa? Oh, you'll be gone.
Aha.
Yeah.
Nancy will be back.
I'll be back, and I can be flexible. You're working, Ellen, so I don't know
Right.
during the day.
I mean, Alan, if you're working, then why don't we agree
Is
to
evening
do
better
this?
for you?
Either way, I can do it either way. It's, I'm flexible. So, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm same. I'm free that day, so I can do either.
Okay, Michael?
Yeah, either is fine with me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks like most people during the day is good, so.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So 10 a.m. on the 17th. Did you want to try to, is there any interest in, each commission member choosing one question to focus in on and come up with the language that you thought was most powerful? Or the collection of answers that you think best summarize how Concord feels about that particular question? Like, what are
Maybe
the
even-
challenges, right?
Maybe even just a couple or a few highlights. And I saw the list. It's a big long list, so
Right.
Exactly.
I'm thinking I'm going to be attracted to more than one thing. But you're looking for specific language. Is that what you're thinking? It can be condensed. I mean, it can be, yeah. It can be
I think what I'm
sentence.
hearing is Anne's wondering if each commission member could take a question from the survey and either summarize the comment, maybe summarize the feedback and pick a couple of quotes.
Right.
And then you would pull all of that together as sort of a summary of the survey. Did I
Yes.
understand that right?
Right.
How does that condense the information? I don't get it. Because you're gonna condense separate comments, right? Aren't you looking to condense separate comments
Well,
within
guess-
within the topic? Is that it? Is that the
Well, I
idea?
guess in the summary that Heritage Strategies prepared, there were certain questions toward the end where, you know, they chose sort of randomly selected quotes, which, you know, may not be the most powerful ones. I think Elizabeth said they chose every 10th answer was the
Oh,
one that they
okay.
presented. So maybe we could have a more focused and like
Gotcha.
a less random selection of
Oh,
quotes.
okay, okay.
And I think the commission members would do a great job in pulling out the best ones.
This, guys, this solves a problem and it's a great idea for us because, you know, when we choose these quotes, who are we? You know, we're not you guys. And I think it'd be wonderful if you do it. I agree with Anne. There's some great comments that got missed and we can, you know, set it all up and we can send you what we say in the survey or the summary with the question and the answers, and you guys can, you know, have at it.
I can't, Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I can't remember how many questions there were.
Well, there are eight qualitative questions.
Okay, which
Okay,
is,
there's
those are
16.
what,
Yeah, there's 16. The first one, I think, is number 6, is the one that we sort of bore into. It was a great question. And I think it's among the longest of the answers because everybody kind of glommed onto that one. And then as you get through the other questions, you start to see repetitions. And so we tailed off too. And it would be great to have eyes solely on one question and those answers. I think you'll do a better job than those of us that have had to go through all of it.
yeah,
And help us with that. That would be really great. We'll use them as pull quotes in the plan, but this will also help us. You can take a look at how we tried to pull out, kind of highlight, not just the quotes, but we tried to summarize what was in those quotes and those questions, and they may not tune up the way you would do it. So we'd love it if you guys could help with that. We spent hours on this thing, guys. It's huge. And, you know, tons of Excel sheets and parsing it. So it's just a massive job and your help would be most welcome. So it's questions 6, and then adjusted 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 8 questions.
This is going to be a joint meeting in between the Historical Commission and the District Commission as well.
That's right.
Should we have them do questions or no?
I mean, it's our project.
Okay.
I mean,
So there are
have to-
8 questions, right? How many of us are, if we were going to divvy up the 8 questions, how many would we each get? I mean,
well, there are more of us, but they're not here right now.
yeah.
We could assign them as well.
And I could do a couple if that helps.
Mhm.
I
So
think
maybe
I
just
don't
one
know, I
question
think
per person.
just assign us.
Yeah, just assign them.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you want, we can assign.
So assign me, because I will work on it before I go. I'll do my
Yeah.
best to get it to you, Anne.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess we'll send out an email tomorrow maybe rather
Yeah.
than try to do it tonight.
sure.
That'd be
Okay.
great.
Okay.
We don't need to vote on that, right? Okay. Everyone good with that?
Is it, I'm sorry to be confused. But is it clear from these documents then what are you asking us to take information out of these documents that were attached?
I think, well, what I'm thinking is there's a question number 7 or 8 or 10, whatever it is. You read the question and you have all these different responses from Concord residents, and to select 2 or 3 that really, in your judgment, capture the essence or of that question, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, right. So right,
Where,
Elizabeth and Peter had chosen like the 10 most important items in that question. And I'm not sure if you all would agree with like, you know, what's important, what would be the most important to you, right? And then also, you know, which ones do you think are the most powerful answers that really
Yeah,
spoke to you?
I mean, it's a judgment call by all of us, you know, with our own biases.
Mhm.
But I think if you spread it out, it's even better. I mean, it's sort of the Delphi thing where you have, the more eyes you have on it, the more it comes to a satisfactory conclusion for everybody.
I'm so sorry, but I understand the task. But I don't understand where the information is. I'm looking at this big document and it doesn't really, it has a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here. And sometimes it refers to a question, but not always.
Well,
So
I'm thinking
I'm looking at the appendices. It's, you know, A is for question 2 and.
So,
So
and I've already done it. You can package these so that you get an email that says question 6. It'll be the question and the answers.
got
and
it.
We'll pull out from that massive document you're looking at, Lauren, we'll pull
Yeah.
out the material we did put together for that
Okay.
question. You can validate it or not. You can.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay. That is music to my
Let's
ears.
simplify it for all of you and
Yeah.
us. I think it'll be simpler for Ann and me too.
Got it. So basically, you're going to make different little files for each question.
Yep.
And then each person will get one of those, that little niblet, and look at it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's not a niblet in some cases.
Right.
Oh dear. It's the cob.
Right.
It's the whole cob. Yes, thanks, Nancy.
So I'll be sending out an agenda probably tomorrow. Elizabeth
Okay.
just sent me some information, so I'll send that out
Thank
to
you, Ann.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so that's the joint meeting, which leads us into any update on 1693, the archaeological assessment.
Well, I wanted to make sure you all knew that the letter did get sent to the Concord 250th Permanent Memorial Subcommittee, and that letter is up on the website. And Gary Clayton said he would be sending it to the subcommittee. We haven't heard anything back from them. I don't know if anyone had questions about that. That was something that Alan and Nancy and I guess worked on together. So
I haven't.
I have a question. Where is it? Where do we find this?
I'm sorry, it's on the
our
current meeting
page.
documents. I can bring it up if you'd like.
Yeah, wow, I'm totally missed it today.
It's the first file, I think, under
Yes.
the 693.
Was that on yesterday? Wow,
Yeah, it was on yesterday's. And
how did I totally missed it?
Or I
Yeah.
can send it to you,
No, here I got,
September 25th.
So Ann's got it up now.
okay.
Didn't the 250 committee request information on how to fund this also?
Yep.
Well, they noted that they didn't have any money and we noted that we didn't have any money. So that's where it stands.
Okay.
I think. There is a meeting of, it's the History and Education Subcommittee meeting this Tuesday coming up next week. And budget's a big thing on it, but I'm very interested in the budget, but I'm gonna try to pay attention to that. The overall executive committee budget.
So I'm
Yeah.
on the permanent memorial subcommittee, and I can just tell you that the members have not gotten any further emails
Thank you.
about this. And the next meeting of that subcommittee is October 22nd, I believe. There's been a long gap between the last meeting and the upcoming meeting, so there hasn't been a formal discussion about it. Whether other members have talked amongst themselves, I have no idea.
Well, it does seem like a lot of work gets done between meetings.
I would agree with that.
Being out of the public eye.
I didn't say that.
Well, that is how I interpreted that.
Yeah,
That looks good.
so there's that. So we're waiting.
Yeah, we're kind of in limbo. So that's that.
I just want to reiterate that, just remind you that I think the most important point in that letter is that while they came to the Historical Commission asking for justification and questioning funding, when the Historical Commission pointed out that because that they're not near, they don't have a finalized design, that we said that, you know, there's no hurry, that they need to have that first before they make a decision about going forward with any kind of archaeological study, because they didn't know where it would be. So that's, to me, the really critical point in the letter. And yeah,
And hopefully
until they discuss in their meetings, you know, the design. And right now they're not focusing on, they're now focusing on the historical content. They're waiting for the historical working group to decide on the content. So they're not close to the formalizing the design, as far as I know.
So
I
Nancy,
think this is just going to be so fraught for them. I think I don't see a clear path forward for this concept in this subcommittee. Nothing's going to happen for 2025 for sure.
so
Melissa?
I'm sorry.
yeah, Nancy Frizella Lee, do you know what they have, what criteria they have, that the historians, you know, anything about what they're evaluating or their?
Melissa, I've asked and I've not gotten an answer. What I was told, because I asked to be allowed to attend that, and I am not welcome to do that. And Joe Hibbard and Joe Palumbo told me, this is what I was told in an email, that they would attend the first session of the historians working group, and they would explain the project, and then the parameters of the project, explain the design a little bit, and explain their task, what the subcommittee was asking them to do. And then they would not be in the discussion. They would back away and let the working group meet. I think they have already met one time in September, so I don't know. The members of the historians working group don't live in Concord. In fact, they don't live in the same state. So they're meeting on, you know, virtually. I don't know how often their meetings are. I will be making inquiries next week about it.
There's a couple of things about this committee that are interesting. I know that Tui Rogers once at a meeting, I don't know if you were there, Melissa or Nancy, but Tui said that he would be sending the package. There would be a package that would be sent to the people who were going to be on this, whatever they're calling it. And so that's, by the way, is public information as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know why it's not being more open. But Bob Gross actually is on that committee, and he is in town. But and Jane. Yeah, thank you. Used to be a Concordian. Still
Right.
is in our heart, I'm sure. But anyway, from what I understand from talking to one of the members, that they've met once.
I have a list of the names.
Yeah, the names are out there.
Yeah.
I think. I'm pretty
And
sure.
I can't imagine what kind of package they're going to send, there are two
Set.
things that are in the public realm. One is their mission statement, which is on the website, and the other is the design that they put, that is also on our government website, that is kind of a 3D moving
Yeah.
design. So I don't know what else they would have sent them.
Well, the parameters for that group to be working, that's what I want to know, actually, and that package should be public.
I think that's what they're asking the historians group to work on, is what,
They
based
were
on
given-
their
They were given guidelines by this committee. This committee is
Okay.
going to decide what they take and keep from what they produce, is what I understand it. They're gonna extract what they want to, the people on the committee, subcommittee. Right?
I'll find out more information next week.
Yeah, yeah,
I sit down with people.
yeah. That'd be good.
Okay, is that the meeting on Tuesday, Nancy, that's coming up?
22nd is a Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's 2 weeks from now,
that's
right?
2 weeks, but there's,
Well, they won't have a full discussion about what we're talking about then, though. They keep it very brief in their formal public meetings. I hope to just try to sit down with Gary and maybe Joe Palumbo and ask them to fill me in on what's been happening in the last month.
Good luck.
okay.
I will need it.
All right, moving along now, we're the CPC application, that's one Ian put together for the modern structures. And that was on the website, right, Ian?
It is on the CPC website.
Yeah.
If you're interested in it, I can get it to you because I sit on that committee for the Historical Commission.
No, I read it yesterday. Yesterday, I think it was, right?
And
It
I
was
don't
on-
know, and I don't know when this is scheduled to come up before the CPC.
Right.
Are you creating that schedule too?
Yes. So
When are
initially
you
it was-
planning to be there?
Are you giving yourself a nice
Initially, it was going
spot?
to be, so initially it was going to be on October 22nd, but we had to shift the meeting
Right.
probably till the
Oh, right.
29th
That's
to
right,
accommodate the
right.
superintendent of schools.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I can present it, but I was wondering if anyone else would prefer to present or co-present in front of the CPC, since it is a joint application
Mhm.
between the Town Planning Division and the Historical Commission.
Any
And, I really
volunteers
see it
or?
as your project.
I
and
would
as something
certainly
to-
be willing to read it very, very carefully over and over again and do that. As the rep from the Historical Commission, does that seem appropriate? Does anybody else want to do it? Necessarily?
Seem
Yeah.
okay for you to do it, you and
Yeah.
Ann.
Right,
Yeah, seems okay with me.
yeah. All in favor?
Oh, and they did also say that we should probably get a letter of recommendation from the Historical Commission for the grant application, or a
Oh,
letter of
yes.
support.
That would be great.
We can put that
Yeah.
together. Okay,
Well, can we make a recommendation on our own thing? Oh, well, never mind.
I know,
Never mind.
I made that point too. It's like, well, it's a co-application, but I suppose it,
can we
Yeah.
recommend our own
Have it.
application?
right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure we could find others.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, would you want architectural historians or something like that to weigh in that we could identify?
Sure.
Would be helpful.
Anybody. I forget, actually, I'm sorry, I forget when the date is that recommendation letters or support letters are supposed to be in.
November
November
15th.
15th. When?
November 15th.
I got that right. Well,
Recommendation letter.
Lauren, do you know some architectural historians? I'm trying to think of people in this community that we could reach out to.
Well, the one person that comes to mind is Betsy Eichelhart.
Yep.
She lives in Conan. And
I was just gonna say,
yeah,
Mhm.
and I know she's very interested, but I think it would be, and I'd be happy to reach out. I know her well. I'd be happy to reach out to her and also see if she has any suggestions for any others. But I think she'd be very interested. She'd be very happy to know we are.
well,
You
There was
maybe
a-
her husband?
Oh,
Milan?
Gallant.
Milan, yeah, he's
Yeah.
an architect.
He's an architect. Yeah.
Is there is a woman named Doris Goyette? Is she still alive? She used to. This is 100 years ago. I'll look her up. I think she used to be.
Okay. The other thing I was thinking about is historic New England. And the reason why I think of that is because of Gropius House.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
that's a very good idea. I don't even know who's anybody there anymore.
Who would do it? Yeah.
I think Betsy Merritt, who's not exactly an architectural historian, but she's very high up in historic. Isn't she historic New England? I think so.
Who?
Betsy Merritt.
You
Elizabeth
think
Merritt. She's been very active in the Route 2A project for the.
Mhm.
But I
I think
thought
she
she
might
was
be
with the
National
national-
Trust.
she's
She might
national.
be National Trust though,
Oh,
but
right,
that's all
right,
right.
Right.
Well, I'm actually, we could ask Peggy Burke. She used to work with Historic New England folks. She would know, right?
Either of those.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway,
So shall I reach out to Betsy Aglehart?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're close.
Sure,
Thank you.
Okay.
sure,
Can I ask a related but also not related question?
sure.
Has the Historical Commission ever thought about a similar study for Royal Barry Wills houses?
No, I don't think so.
I kind of have. I mean, I noticed when I Googled Royal Barry Wills and Concord that their Historic New England has his collection, and that
Yeah.
but there were maybe only 4 or 5 that came up.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
But I'm not sure
Are
if
there,
there
ve-
are others that just are not in their collection.
Yeah.
are there very many in Concord? I used to know someone who lived in one, but I'm pretty sure it got torn down and a McMansion is there now.
Yeah, I know that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
Big.
What were the towns that the houses were built in? What were some of the,
They're all over.
okay.
Yeah, most towns have some.
Are they
And I
similar
think-
to like Campanelli houses or
I don't know what a Campanelli house is.
those were the ranches built on a slab with,
These are little colonial revival capes mostly. Modest houses, but with, very nicely proportioned, they're they tend to be modest, but they have a kind of, there are also, some of them were little bit arts and crafts, stone features, like the little arches with and I think there are a lot more than people know out there. But I just
Yeah.
wondered if that had ever been on anyone's mind. I feel like because I live in West Concord, I feel like I see a lot that I think could very well be Royal Barry Wells, but I just don't know.
Well,
Wait,
first of
I
all,
don't-
good question to ask Ann Forbes, who has done
Oh,
the
yeah.
most.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. There are a couple of books out on his architecture. And I actually have them in the trunk of my car right now. I'm meaning to return them. And of course he wrote books himself and
Yeah.
educated a whole generation of people on the various colonial style of architecture.
Yeah.
And he has these great little sketches. When I worked for Margaret Floyd, she wrote a book, Architectural
yeah.
Education in Boston, and there was
Yeah.
a chapter on Royal Barry Wills that stuck with me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're capes.
Yeah.
They're capes. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Mostly, not all, but mostly variations.
They're nice houses.
Nice little houses, yeah.
Very nice. Well built.
Okay. We'll have to do some research. All right. That's
Ta-da.
moving on to the 1775 houses,
Reception.
the reception. We did a letter last meeting, right? And if I'm not mistaken, this is
No, I
Melissa,
think
this was
there's-
yours.
This,
This was yours.
there's no letter. Well, I didn't think,
We
we agreed,
we agreed to
to
endorse.
co-sponsor this, but Anne,
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't reach out to Faye or Holly to find out if they picked a date. Did you?
No, do you have any sense of when this is? Is
I
it in
thought-
April or?
No, well, when she originally talked to me about this way a year or so ago, it was more like January or February. So, not immediate. So just so everybody understands, or maybe you do, this is the Public Outreach Committee that Holly Kratzley chairs, and Faye Allen, who's come before us several times with the signs to designate witness houses. They would like to have a reception for these folks, and they would like to have the invitation come jointly from the Concord 250 committee, of which they are a part, and the Historical Commission, which struck us as appropriate because it's important to designate these houses, the importance of the houses, and draws attention to them. So I think we've said yes.
Right.
The issue is I don't know when it is. I will find out. I am sorry, I will find out.
Right, but
Maybe
yeah,
I can find out tonight.
I think at the time they were just looking for us to
They just wanted us to say, yes, we would co-sponsor. It doesn't require money. We would definitely be invited. They just want us, our name with them. Here, I'm going to.
we did that.
Right, and I was thinking that this could also, I mean, it's nice for the commission to support their project, and I hope they also support the project that you all are doing with the study of the pre-1775 houses with the CPC funding. And I hope that I've kind of tried to emphasize several times that how complicated the history of Concord houses is, and that the dates aren't really very well known, that they're not definitive dates, and many of these houses we don't know for certain whether they are pre-1775 or not. That book by Mary Fenn on the old houses of Concord, her introduction is lovely, though, just talking about how complicated and confusing the history of Concord houses are, just because they've been added to and moved, and so I don't know if I just put this up on the website today. There is a I found the Ruth Wheeler house files. There's been a question as to whether they're historical commission files or library files, and in her papers in the there's this article from 1935. So we know now that the Ruth Wheeler papers began in 1935, and this is sort of the core study that led up to Macris. And this woman, Ruth Wheeler, she began by reaching out to, doing the same thing that Holly and Faye are doing, really, reaching out to homeowners to collect the history of their houses. And she worked on it for the next 40 years. So she was a founding member of the HDC, and worked and, shared her research with Mass Historical at that point. And then she was also a founding member of the Historical Commission in 1973. And so her files, again, are like the core of the Macris files, which Ann Forbes built on. So I just think that lovely. And I hope that that is something that, you know, gets shared. And, you know, maybe this is, you know, what we should be doing now too. You know, I found another article, I think she had a core, there were like 250 houses dating before 1830, you know, so she started in 1935 and went by the 1830 map and documented every single house on that map, reached out to the owners of all of those houses. And this could be sort of a similar effort where, you know, we're doing the deep dive into the research, but also hopefully making connections with the homeowners today. And we may need to have access to some of these houses, to the interiors, to actually get
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
accurate date. So, and let's see.
Okay.
Also, so her files are so important. And then there are, of course, the Jarvis and Kai's histories of Concord people and houses that haven't been scanned. And, you know, that's just so essential to this research too. So I'm hoping that as a part of this study of the pre-1775 houses that, you know, at the very least, we need to get these scanned and make them available to the public and work with the library on that. And really, you know, connect all of their descriptions to addresses and make it very, very clear as to, you know, the house that they're talking about is this house and it's still standing. And yeah. So, and I haven't really launched into this project yet since we are still working on the planning project. But I feel like, you know, 2025 is really a very appropriate year to focus in on the 1775 house project. So I think it's okay that it's not happening immediately, and it's better to focus on each separately than get, you know, not give enough time to either one.
Okay. Is there anything we need to do or?
No, I think it's I guess just working with Holly and Faye and having them understand, you know, what you all are doing too, with the studies, and just showing that, you know, there's much more to this, and the nuances are what makes it interesting. And to just, you know, it's not so black and white, like this is a pre-1775 house or it's not, you know, it's the stories and the nuances and the
Right.
yeah.
Have a question, has Faye or have they submitted their list or to you, or have you ever?
Well, actually, right, they submitted a list to the HDC and they said, and it just said houses built before 1775. I was like, oh no, that, you know, that's too specific. That's you know, we don't know for certain. Some are clear, but others may not be. But yes, there's a list, and it's a printout from Macris, basically.
And that's the same list that the Minuteman, that Minuteman had a list, Nancy, yes? Minuteman National
Yes.
Park.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it for a long, long time.
I mean, that was
Right,
the
so-
list I'm thinking of.
You
Was,
have it, Ann?
Right, so they're distinguishing between witness houses and pre-1775 houses. The witness houses were, you know, on Battle Road, and so the Battle Road Scenic Byway Corridor Management Plan does have a list.
right,
Right,
right.
but then there are other houses that should be on the list that aren't there. Like the
That are off
houses
the
on
route.
Church Green and the old block house, the Timothy Minot house. There's that other house that's supposedly the Martha Moulton house, and those are the ones that I think that would be great to focus in on. And
Where's the Martha Moulton house?
well, supposedly That's the legend. We don't know if it's true. But that is on Court Street and it's called
Oh,
the Emmeline Barrett Boarding House or something. It's in Macris.
And do you know if I can ask Holly Kratzley myself, but when they do these witness houses, are they planning on putting out a little brochure? You know, because they're going to put the little signs out, right? It would be nice if they just had a little handout, even just to distribute amongst the people who are participating in that within Concord.
that's a good question. Also the Concord 250 Communications Publicity Committee, they're supposedly, I'm on it, not that I always know what's going on, but supposedly we're putting out a commemorative brochure of some commemorative something or other. And it strikes me it would be important that those might be at least referenced. I'm not sure you put a list in, and I'm not sure that the people who own those houses would want that. That's the question. The ones that are in the national park, that's easy because they're national. But if they're privately owned homes, people might not want that listed. I know that they are conscious of protecting people's privacy.
Good point. I don't know. Yeah. I'll talk to Holly about it.
I just sent them an email. I probably won't hear anything between now and when we adjourn, but I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, all done.
All done. Yeah. So 2 minutes till 9 o'clock, so.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I think that's a great meeting tonight. Productive. We got a lot accomplished. And so we'll talk about the questions, Anne. The email.
Architectural historians.
Yeah. And other than that, I guess we can adjourn the meeting.
And the sign plan review strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, good, great.
Thank
Good.
you.
Okay. We'll see you all next week.